Welcome back to the Burning Eyes Tech channel, guys. Today I'm going to be showing you a quick short video on how exactly you can go about creating or adding users via the Microsoft Office 365 admin portal. While we're there, I can also show you guys how you can go about adding, changing or removing licenses on these accounts, and also how you can go about removing benefits that comes with these licenses. Under default circumstances, when you go and add a license to an account, there's normally all kinds of perks and benefits that comes with each license. And sometimes we as the administrators don't want a particular user to have all the benefits that comes with a certain license. If I, for example, don't want you to have access to Teams, if it's included in a license, I do have the ability to go and deny you access to something like Teams. In this video, we can also demonstrate how exactly you can go and add users and members in the Microsoft Teams client, for those of you who would like to know. So with all of that being said, let's jump in. Alright guys, as you can see, I'm on the normal Office 365 portal right now. Once you get onto the normal portal, assuming you've got the right privilege and the right account, you should have the ability to go click on the gray admin tile at the bottom left. So simply just go click on the gray admin tile at the bottom left to get to the admin portal. Once you've clicked on the gray admin portal tab, this is what you guys should effectively see. Now, if you don't see all the options you're looking for, you might have to go click on the bottom left option here that says show all. Although today we're not going to be using any of these options. The one that I need you guys to go and click on to be able to create your user accounts and to assign them licenses is the tab that says users. This will be the second one from the top left. So please expand that option. Once you've expanded this option, click on active users. Now, if this is an actual production environment, there's a very good chance you're going to see a very long list of user accounts here in your company. Now, for obvious reasons, I've blurred out my email address here. I don't want you guys to be able to see my email address. At the moment, this is pretty much as default as it gets. You should by default see only one account here if this is a new Office 365 subscription. That's your main administrator account. 10 to 1, this is going to be a global administrator account. Now, for each user account that you've got in this list, on the right hand side, you should currently see whether that account has got any licenses assigned to it. And if there is any licenses assigned to it, you should be able to see which ones that is. At any point in time, you can change these licenses by just clicking on the account. It's going to open a little wizard and you'll have the ability to change these licenses. We'll show you that in a moment. So first, let's jump in and create a new user account. This can be done by clicking on the Add User button. I'm sure you guys could have guessed that. Now in this little wizard, you're going to be creating a user account. Now, this wizard has the habit of changing a lot over time. I can't tell you guys how many times over the years this little wizard has changed. The good news is whenever Microsoft decides to change this wizard, it's of such nature you can actually figure out the differences within a matter of seconds. And it has to be. If they're going to make it complicated, nobody's going to use it. If nobody uses it, nobody's going to buy it. And if nobody buys it, they don't make money. So I can assure you it's going to be user friendly. All right, so on this little list, we're going to simply just go and create our user by typing in their details. I'm going to go and type in Mary Jo. Microsoft likes using these names. Display name, that's basically just what this person is going to be displayed as to people, including email. Username, this could technically be anything, but I would encourage you to go and verify what the username syntax needs to be in this specific company. Each company has a different way of typing their usernames. It could be the actual person's name and last name, like I've just done right now. It could be the person's name with the first letter of their last name. It could be their last name with the first letter of their first name. It could be their employee number. There's many ways you can go about typing this. If you're not sure, ask your company or ask your client. Just verify what the username needs to actually look like. Under domain, if this company has any current domains, they should be listed here with their aliases. At the moment, I've just got a default trial subscription going here for me, so I don't have any aliases going for me. It's just as default as it gets. It should be fine for now. Username, I'm just going to make Mary Jo for now. All right. Automatically create a password. You could if you want to. Either way, it doesn't really matter because this password is normally a temporary password. It's only going to be used once. So as soon as this person logs on, in this case it's Mary Jo, it's going to automatically ask this person to change their password. So it doesn't really matter whether you choose the password, whether Microsoft chooses the password for you. Potato, potato, I say. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on next. Alright, so on this little menu, we're going to be seeing all the licenses that my company currently has. Here you will have the ability effectively to go and assign people a license or multiple licenses. Now the only license you're going to see in this list is the license your company currently holds. So if your company does not currently own certain licenses, they will not display in this list. Only licenses that your company owns, those are the only ones that's going to actually show here. So this company, this fake company of mine, you can see it owns that kind of license, that one, and that one. You do have the ability to go and assign a person a license from here, obviously. As you would notice, there's checkboxes here, which means you can assign someone more than one kind of license if you want, which obviously just means they're going to get more and more benefits the more you assign. Or if you really want, you can just skip that. You don't have to assign someone a license. So the account would in fact still be created. The person just won't have any license. So for the most part, he or she won't be able to go and do anything. So for now, just for argument's sake, I'm going to go click on this one in the middle. It says E5. You can clearly see how many licenses this company currently has. It's 15, of which 13 is available, or 14. I think it's because I just took one, which it moved down from 14 to 13. Now, once you've chosen a license of your choice, you're going to have to scroll down. Now, if you don't notice, it's very easy to miss. You're going to have to scroll down all the way to the bottom. It's very easy to miss this scroll bar. And you'll notice there's a section here that says apps. Now, this is all the apps and all the goodies and all the benefits that actually comes with that particular license. By default, the majority of these are going to be ticked, which means as soon as you assign someone that particular license, whatever the license might be, they will, for the most part, get all the goodies and all the benefits that comes with that particular license. Pretty cool, I must say. Now, if you don't want this particular person to have certain benefits, you as the administrator do have the ability to go here to apps and turn off some of these benefits. So I'm going to go ahead and expand this for you guys. Scroll down. Now, considering that this course is somewhat about Teams, I'm going to scroll down to Teams. It should be included in this license. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. So you can see all of these are ticked by default. Now, Microsoft has changed this menu quite a few times in the past. Sometimes it's tick boxes, sometimes it's sliding bars. Tick boxes, sliding bars. They keep changing it. Luckily for us, they normally change it in such a way so that you can figure out all the benefits or all the changes within a matter of seconds. Now, if I don't want this particular person to have access to Microsoft Teams, all I need to go and do is untick the box or unslide the bar. Sometimes it's a sliding bar, depending on how Microsoft feels on that particular day. So right now it's a tick box. You untick the box, that's it. So even though this license for this person happens to include Teams, they will not have access to Teams. So now it's just a matter of clicking on Next. Here you will have the ability to assign someone a role. Now by default, you'll notice this person is called a user, which for the most part means this person has got zero privilege, no permission. He or she cannot do anything. That's as default as it gets. And if you want this person to have some sort of privilege, if this person is going to be an IT personnel of some kind, he or she will probably need some form of privilege. So you're going to have to go click on this little drop down list and assign this individual some form of privilege. If you scroll down, you'll see it says admin center access. There's not that many. Now it's worth noting that these are not in fact all the admin roles. These are just some of the main ones. So if I assign this individual the exchange admin role, he or she will have for the most part full access and full privilege on exchange. However, just on exchange. As soon as he or she goes to another platform, for example SharePoint, they will have zero privilege, just like a normal person. So it really depends on which one you assign. As you can see, you can assign someone more than one kind of account. So if I make this person a SharePoint administrator, that person will have full-blown access on SharePoint, but just SharePoint. Now you need to be careful of this second one from the top, which says global admin. That's the same as the administrator role on premises. For the most part, this has got full privilege on all platforms. Pretty much the highest ranking account you can get. Now, generally, the rule of thumb here is only to have one of those accounts. I personally disagree with that. I would say you should have at least two of those accounts. Now, the global admin, as we've just said, can do anything, including changing people's passwords. Now, if I am a global admin and I forget my own password, it's not the worst situation because I can just go and reset it myself. As long as I'm the original owner of this account, I will have the ability to go and reset my own password using things like the security questions and so on and so forth. But someone else cannot reset my password because I'm too high rank. Now, someone that does have the ability to go and reset someone's password is this account way at the bottom, the user administrator. That person has the ability to go and create user accounts, reset passwords, change passwords, check health, all kinds of things like that. Now, even though that administrator account has those abilities, that does not necessarily mean that administrator has the ability to go and reset the password to the global admin account. The global admin account's got way more privilege. And if the user admin account has the ability to go and reset the global admin's password, that will technically be seen as a form of hacking. So that's frowned upon. It's not allowed. So only the global admin can reset his own password or another global admin's password. Now, with that being in mind, I would say create at least 2 global admin accounts. Because what if you cannot reset your password one day? And not because of security questions, because maybe you're unconscious, maybe you've unfortunately passed away, maybe you got fired, you got into a car accident, you're unconscious, it could be anything. Now, if that happens, who's going to be able to answer those security questions? Nobody. Only you can, and currently you're not there to answer those questions. Now, how are people going to gain access to that account? Now, if you've got more than one global admin account, like 2, for example, you will have the ability to go and reset the password to the other global admin account, which is why I personally recommend having at least 2 of these accounts. All right, so with all of that being said, I'm just going to choose a random account. Let's just say user for now. Next. Now, regarding that previous menu where you see all of those accounts, as I've said earlier, those are not the only admin accounts you get. There's way more. The majority of them can be found on the Azure portal, for those of you that know what Azure is. Some people pronounce it as Azuri. Some people pronounce it as Azure, I think. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So the majority of your accounts can be found on that cloud platform. These ones that you see here are just the, I would say the main ones maybe. I'm going to click on finish adding. Gives you a summary of the person's details. If you see some of the stuff blurred out here and there, it's because I don't want you guys to see the domain. So I apologize for that, but this should give you the gist of it. Click on close. And there you can see my new person called Mary Jo. Now regarding changing the licensing or anything like that for an existing person, how do we do that? Now earlier when we started, I told you can simply just go click on the person's name. It's going to open like a little wizard. I'm just going to click close here. I'm going to click on Mary Jo. Notice on the right hand side it opens like a little wizard of sorts. Here you have the ability to go and change certain aspects about this user, specifically about this user. You'll notice there's a tab about licenses and apps, tab about mail, OneDrive, etc, etc. Now if you go and change settings regarding mail, OneDrive for example, this is not going to apply to all users. Whatever settings you apply there is only going to apply to this specific user, being Mary Jo. So if I go to OneDrive and I increase the amount of space you've got available on OneDrive or decrease it, something simple, that's only going to apply to Mary Jo, not everyone else. If you want to go and increase, for example, the size to OneDrive to everyone, you're going to have to go to the OneDrive Admin Center and do it there so that it is more universal to the whole company. Whatever you find on these menus is unique and specific to that specific user. You can see that's one place you can reset the password. It's not the only way. Another way you can go and do it is by just clicking on the little key icon next to that person's name. But the main thing I want to show you guys here is the licenses and apps today. So if I go to this tab, it says licenses and apps. Here you can see currently which licenses this person holds. If you want, you can go and add some, you can remove some, or you can leave it the same. So if I don't want this person to have E5, I untick it. If I want this person to have an additional license, I simply just go and tick that license. You will also notice that at the bottom, you can also go and change the benefits if need be. That's why it says licenses and apps. That's the apps they're talking about. So now I've decided, you know what, boys, I want to go and add this license too. Click on save. And there we go. Presto. It's been done. So now I've just shown you guys how to create an account in Office 365 in the portal, how to go and assign licenses, how to go and add or remove app benefits. And the next topic I'm going to show you guys is how to go and add users or members in the Office 365 Microsoft Teams client. Alright guys, as you can see, I'm in the Microsoft Teams client right now. You might have noticed that I'm using the software as a service version of Microsoft Teams. In other words, I'm not using the locally installed version of Microsoft Teams. I'm using it via web browser, which is an example of software as a service. The reason I'm doing that is because I don't have Microsoft Teams currently installed in this machine. And how you can access the software as a service version of Microsoft Teams is by simply going to the normal Office 365 portal. And if it's included in your license, and if your administrator has allowed you access to this, like we discussed earlier, you will in fact have the ability to go click there on that little Teams tab, and it's going to open this in your web browser. The ability to go and open Teams in a web browser. Now this is exactly the same as the locally installed version, identical. The one is just in a web browser, the other one is locally installed. If you want, you can go use the phone version as well, the mobile app version. That's not 100% the same, I would say. It's about 60 or 70% the same. I've taken the liberty of creating a team here and adding some random channels. That's a topic for a different episode. My main goal here is to show you guys how you can go about adding more members to your team. Now, whether you can actually add members and how they join your team automatically depends on what kind of team you have, whether it's a private team, whether it's a public team, or an organization team. Now, with public teams, anyone can go and join this team and you can go and add it. And at the moment, I've got a public team. You simply right click on the public team, you go to manage team. And once you get here, you'll see by default, if this is a new team, you're only going to see your name here as the administrator. Now, you don't actually need to be an administrator to go and create yourself a team, by the way. Not at all required. Anyone can go and create themselves a team. So as long as you've got a license that includes teams, you will have the ability to go and create a team. By default, this is something you can go and do in a company. I do not recommend leaving this on in a company though if you're an administrator. So if your users are able to go and create teams, please go and turn that off. Now, I would say it's not compulsory, but it's definitely going to make your life a lot easier later on down the line, especially from the SharePoint side of things. Now, whoever creates this team will be seen as the owner. There can be more than one owner if need be. At any point in time, you can promote any member in this team to be an owner with you. You can also go and demote yourself. If you would like to add members, how do we do that? Obviously, it's the button that says add member. You run a search. So I made Mary Jo earlier, so I'm going to say Mary Jo. You can see it picks up Mary Jo. Add. Here we go, Mary Jo. What kind of permission will Mary Jo have? She's either going to be a member or an owner. Member or owner. So I'm going to leave it on member for now. Close. There you go. If I expand members and guests, here we go. We've got Mary Jo. In case you're wondering why it says guests there, guests are generally more for external people because teams is not just used for internal purposes. You can very well go and make yourself a team for the purposes of a project, just as an example. And in this project, there are going to be members which are part of your organization, your own staff. And in this team, there could also be members which are not part of your company, external people. Now, these external people are going to be seen as guests. Why? Because the domain is different. And also because by default, guests have zero privilege, zero permissions. And that, quite frankly, is something you want for security reasons. So if I accidentally add someone to this team, I don't want them to be able to see stuff they're not supposed to. I don't want them to be able to do stuff they're not supposed to. By default, guests have zero permissions unless I explicitly go and grant them permissions. More on that in a different episode where I'll show you how to assign permissions and how to change permissions for your guests and your members and your owners in your company. But effectively, in a nutshell, that's how you go and add someone to a group. You just go click on add member, you add the person, and voila, there you go, Mary Jo. If you need to go and promote Mary Jo at any point in time, you can go here to the right hand side and you can promote Mary Jo to an owner as such. There we go. Mary Jo has just been promoted to an owner. If I need to demote this individual, I can always go and demote the person. There we go. Mary Jo has just been demoted to member. As easy as such. Now, all of these tabs, perks, and features that you guys see in Microsoft Teams and many more will in fact be covered in this Microsoft Teams series of mine. If there's something specific that you would like to know or learn about, please just go run a search in this playlist of mine. If you don't find what you're looking for there, there's a very good chance it just hasn't been uploaded yet. So I would say please subscribe to the channel, stay tuned, and the video will most likely be uploaded shortly. Everything in this course will be in fact covered on this series. If this video has been informative for you, please give the video a like. Please consider subscribing. I will see you guys on the next video. Bye guys.
If you love me, let me know. If you don't, then let me.